It's precisely 1:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News is edited by Danushka Madevela, read by Sabrina Zawahir. The headlines. National Building Research Organisation has issued a red landslide alert for several areas in 4 districts. The low-lying areas of the Nilvala River Valley have been threatened with a major flood situation. All schools in the Mathura district will remain closed for 2 days next week in view of the prevailing torrential rains and inclement weather. The Disaster Management Centre says that more than 13,000 families in 12 districts have severely affected due to the bad weather condition. State Minister of Defence has directed the authorities to take immediate action to remove roadside trees at risk of falling. Kerosene donated by the Chinese government is being distributed to fishing boats. And in world news, Poland and Hungary clash with EU leaders over migration reform. In sports, Sri Lanka's first match in 2023 World Cup will be played in Delhi against South Africa today. Now the local news in detail. As downpours continue to batter southwestern areas in the country due to the active monsoon conditions, the National Building Research Organisation has issued a red landslide alert for several areas in 4 districts: Galle, Mathura, Kalutara and Ratnapura. The low-lying areas of the Nilvala River Valley belonging to Mathura, Malimbada, Kamprupitiya, Tihagoda, Turaliya and Akurasa divisional secretariats have been threatened with a major flood situation. The residents of the area and drivers of the vehicles running through those areas are requested to pay high attention in this regard in order to save lives and properties. All schools in Mathura district will remain closed for 2 days next week in view of the prevailing torrential rains and inclement weather conditions, the District Disaster Management Committee reported. Accordingly, schools in the Mathura district will be closed on the 9th and the 10th of October. Education Director of the Southern Province, Ranjit Yapa, said owing to the bad weather conditions, schools in the Mathura district were also closed on the 4th and the 5th of October. The Disaster Management Centre says that more than 13,000 families in 12 districts have severely affected due to the bad weather situation prevailing in the country. 6 deaths were reported and 20 individuals were injured. The DMC further said that 5 houses have been totally damaged and 720 houses have been partially damaged. 1,556 individuals belonging to 381 families have been housed in 16 centres. The police requested drivers to be cautioned while driving on the roads during the rainy weather conditions. Especially, they urged the drivers to maintain maximum speed of 60 kilometers at the expressways during the rains. In addition, the police requested drivers to drive safely at the submerged by roads. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing local news. State Minister of Defence Pramita Bandara Tennakone has directed the authorities to take immediate action to remove roadside trees at risk of falling. The State Minister instructed the officials of the Disaster Management Centre and National Building Research Organisation to coordinate with the Environmental Authority, Road Development Authority and local authority bodies and carry out an immediate study of the large roadside trees at risk of falling due to the prevailing wet conditions and remove any which may pose a threat to the public. Minister of Fisheries Douglas Devananda said that kerosene donated by the Chinese government is being distributed to fishing boats. He said that the second phase of kerosene distribution has been taking place island-wide at present. 29,057 fishing boats belonging to 15 districts are being receiving. 78 litres of kerosene will be provided per fishing boat. Value of the kerosene distributed per boat is around 37,000 rupees. The minister further stated that this distribution is taking place through 97 filling stations. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
A discussion regarding the bill on security of online methods was held at the Ministry of Public Security between the Minister of Public Security, Tiran Alice, and a delegation of civil organizations, media organizations, and social media operators. During the discussion, the representatives pointed out that while bringing this bill, a wide discussion with the stakeholders and a campaign process should have been carried out, but the presentation of this bill to the Parliament without doing so has caused a lot of discussion in the society. That was main news.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board says the water supply for parts of Colombo will be suspended for 15 hours today. Accordingly, the water cut will be in place in Colombo 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15 areas from 5 p.m. today until 8 a.m. tomorrow. The Water Board attributed the water cut to the essential maintenance work planned under the Ambatale Water Supply System Improvements and Energy Saving Project. That came to you in Watchlight. Moving on to world news. The headlines of the world news. Gaza militants enter Israel after rocket barrage. Poland and Hungary clash with EU leaders over migration reform. Rapper Drake taking break from music to focus on health. Now the world news in detail. Dozens of militants from the Islamist militant group Hamas appear to have entered southern Israel in a surprise attack and are currently at large. Israel's military says it is striking targets in the Gaza Strip amid a situational assessment. Earlier, dozens of rockets were launched toward Israel, setting off air raid sirens across the country. One person has been killed and there have been reports of explosions near Tel Aviv and areas surrounding Gaza. Palestinian militant group Hamas has claimed responsibility for the attack, with its armed wing saying it launched 5,000 rockets in 20 minutes. The far-right leaders of Hungary and Poland have rejected a group of statement on irregular migration as a summit of European leaders came to a close. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán and Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki shot down a proposed statement for inclusion in a document on the summit's conclusion on Friday. The move forced European Council President Charles Michel to issue a separate statement in his name about asylum policy and border protection, and the French and German leaders said the legislative process on the issue would continue as planned. Rapper Drake has announced that he's taking a break from his music career, saying he needs to focus on his health first and foremost. Just hours after the release of his new album, For All the Dogs, the multi-Grammy winner said that he has had stomach issues for years. On his radio show yesterday, he said that he probably won't make music for a little bit. Several upcoming performances have been postponed following his announcement. He later posted a clip from the radio program on Instagram telling his 143 million followers, "See ya when I see ya." That ends world news, and prior to concluding, the headlines of the world news once again. Gaza militants enter Israel after rocket barrage. Poland and Hungary clash with EU leaders over migration reform. Rapper Drake taking break from music to focus on health. That ends world news.
Development news.
The Ministry of Technology has scheduled the implementation of a program aimed at accelerating the digital economic transformation following the vision of President Ranil Wickremesinghe starting from October 11th. This marks the first collaborative effort between the government and the private sector to execute a digital economy plan in Sri Lanka. State Minister of Technology, Mr. Kanaka Herath, emphasized that the policies developed thus far in the realm of digital economics have the potential to significantly bolster Sri Lanka's economy. That was development news. Moving on to sports news. Sri Lanka's first match in 2023 World Cup will be played against South Africa today. The match will be played at 2:15 p.m. in Delhi. Sri Lanka's cricket team faces a significant challenge as Mahesh Theekshana will miss the match as he is not yet fully recovered. More in sports, American Simone Biles has become the most decorated gymnast in history after winning her second gold medal at the World Gymnastics Championships. After helping the United States to a record 7th consecutive team title earlier this week, the 26-year-old won all-around gold in Belgium on Friday. Her total of 34 world and Olympic medals is more than any other gymnast, male or female. Biles took gold with a score of 58.399 points. That ends sports news.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithumitru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Embassy of Sri Lanka in Brazil, which concurrently accredited to the Republic of Chile in collaboration with the Sri Lanka Tea Board, organized a Sri Lanka pavilion with the participation of 12 Sri Lanka tea exporting companies. It will be held at the Espresso Service Expo, which is one of the largest beverage exhibitions held in South America from 26th to the 28th of October 2023 in Santiago, Chile. That was business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithumitru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news. A State Minister of Rural Economy, Mr. Kadir Mastan, has announced the initiation of a comprehensive program aimed at reducing the government's expenditure on grain imports by providing seeds and market opportunities to rural cultivators across the country. This program, initially launched in the Mannar district, is poised for nationwide expansion in the future. Minister of State Kadir Mastan shared these insights during a press conference held at the Presidential Media Center yesterday, focusing on the theme, Collective Path to a Stable Country. That was economic news.
Weather report.
Finally, we take a look at the weather report. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in western, Sabaragamuwa, southern and northwestern provinces and in Kandy and Nuwara districts. Fairly heavy showers above 75 millimeters can be expected at some places in western, Sabaragamuwa and southern provinces. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in eastern and Uva provinces and in Polonnaruwa, Matale and Mullaitivu districts during the evening or night. That was the weather report. Prior to concluding this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. National Building Research Organization has issued a red landslide alert for several areas in 4 districts. The low-lying areas of the Nilwala River Valley have been threatened with a major flood situation. All schools in the Mathura district will remain closed for 2 days next week in view of the prevailing torrential rains and inclement weather. The Disaster Management Centre says that more than 13,000 families in 12 districts have severely affected due to the bad weather condition. State Minister of Defence has directed the authorities to take immediate action to remove roadside trees at risk of falling. Kerosene donated by the Chinese government is being distributed to fishing boats. With that, we conclude the news, and over to my friend and certainly yours, who's all geared up to keep you entertained with a wonderful collection of music this afternoon. Over to you, Asanka.